Deep Dive. Today we're taking on a... All right, welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking on a question we've been getting a lot lately. E-bikes. Are they, like, real exercise? Or is having that motor just a free ride? We've got a bunch of research and studies here ready to dig in.
Yeah, we're going to unpack this whole e-bike exercise thing.
So first off, I think we got to address the elephant in the room. A lot of folks just assume e-bikes can't be a real workout, because of the motor.
Right. Less effort, less exercise, right. But it's interesting when you start to look past that initial assumption. What does the science actually tell us?
That's what we're here for, so workout or not.
Well, this study from Brigham Young University, they looked at mountain biking, and get this, e-mountain bikers, they hit about 94% of the average heart rate of the traditional mountain bikers.
Wow.
So your heart's working almost as hard.
Yeah, that's pretty intense. Hey, almost as hard, but...
But there's this other study in the International Journal of Behavioral Nutrition and Physical Activity, and they found that e-bike riders, well, they actually end up getting more exercise overall. And it's because they ride more, longer distances, and more often.
Yeah, I guess if you're not totally wiped out after every ride, you're more likely to hop back on.
Exactly. And there was this European Commission study, really highlighted this whole thing. They found e-bike users, they actually had higher weekly energy expenditure, like overall, than the regular cyclists. Yeah, and it's because their trips were almost twice as long.
So they're riding further because it's easier, so they get more exercise?
Precisely. Almost double the distance on average. Now, gotta acknowledge, there are some studies out there that show in that, immediate moment of pedaling, with the assist, you might not be pushing as hard as you would on a traditional bike.
Right, so the motor's taking some of the load in that moment.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The same research, it actually points out that e-cycling, it still gets your heart rate up and your oxygen intake higher than just walking.
Oh, interesting.
And because it makes riding more doable, people tend to do it more often, which adds up.
Right, it's consistency.
And get this. There was this 4-week program, e-cycling program, and it actually improved people's cardiorespiratory fitness and even their leg power.
Wow. So there are real fitness gains to be made.
Real gains. And it's not all about those hard numbers either, right? It's how people feel, their overall well-being.
Right, that's a huge part of it.
E-bike users, they report feeling fitter, noticing muscle development, some even losing weight.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay, so to summarize this first part, what would you say is the main takeaway for our listeners?
So, looking at all this data, the takeaway is that immediate intensity, yeah, it might be a bit lower at times, but it's the fact that you're riding more often and for longer that really makes a difference.
Got it. So e-bikes, you've got this motor helping you out. But I know most e-bikes let you adjust how much help you're getting.
Right.
How does that affect the workout?
Well, that's actually one of the coolest things about e-bikes. You have so much control. If you dial down that assist level, you're going to have to work harder.
Yeah.
Your heart rate goes up, you burn more calories, your muscles are more engaged.
Makes sense.
You can think of it like minimal assist. That's kind of like a brisk walk or a light jog. Calorie burn-wise, per hour.
Right.
Moderate assist, more like moderate cycling. High assist, closer to a leisurely stroll.
So you can really fine-tune it based on what you're looking for.
Exactly.
I also know some e-bikes have different types of sensors for the pedals.
Right.
What's the deal with those? Do they change things up?
Yeah, so you've got torque sensors, and they respond to how hard you're pushing on those pedals. Gives you a really natural feel, more control over your effort. Then you've got cadence sensors, and those just react to how fast you're pedaling. So the assist is a little less nuanced, but it's key to remember, especially with Class 1 e-bikes, those only assist when you're actually pedaling and only up to a certain speed. So you're still actively working. It's amplifying your effort, not replacing it.
Got it. Not just a scooter.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about adjusting the assist level. What are some other things people can do to get more of a workout on an e-bike?
All right, so as you get fitter, try gradually lowering that assist level. See how it feels. And seek out those hills. Varied terrain. E-bikes make those challenging routes way more accessible.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And like we've been talking about, just riding for longer and more often makes a big difference. You could even try interval training. Short bursts of higher effort than easier pedaling. And if you really want to challenge yourself, you can always just turn that motor off entirely.
So it's really versatile. Now, one thing that came up a lot in the research was how much people seem to enjoy riding e-bikes. How does that play into whether it's a good form of exercise?
That enjoyment factor is huge. If it's not fun, you're not going to stick with it, right?
Right.
E-bikes, they make riding more fun, especially on those tougher rides, which motivates people to get out there more often and for longer. And that consistency, that's what really counts.
Makes total sense. It sounds like e-bikes can also make exercise accessible for people who might have struggled with it before.
Oh, absolutely. They can really help older adults, people with physical limitations. I mean, we saw examples of people with asthma finding it easier to commute, seniors staying active longer. The lower perceived exertion, it can make exercise feel less daunting, especially when you're first starting out.
Yeah, it's huge.
Plus, there's that mental health boost.
Mm-hmm.
Being outdoors, being active, it just makes you feel good.
For sure.
And e-bikes, they can kind of bridge that gap between people with different fitness levels. Friends and family can ride together, even if some are more athletic than others.
Love that.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we need to shift our thinking a bit away from this idea that e-bikes are somehow cheating and recognize them as a really valuable tool for getting active.
Exactly. Pedaling is exercise, period. And with e-bikes, people often end up increasing their overall physical activity. Plus, they serve different purposes than traditional bikes. They can make commuting less strenuous, offer a way for people with limitations to exercise who might not be able to otherwise.
Right.
And the adjustable assist means they work for a whole range of fitness levels.
Yeah, it's all about customization.
And they offer real benefits: cardiovascular, muscular, mental health. It's all there.
And it seems like the world is starting to catch on.
Yeah.
I mean, we found all sorts of campaigns and initiatives popping up that are actually promoting e-bikes as exercise.
That's awesome.
It is. There are campaigns focusing on the health benefits. Bike companies are highlighting the fitness aspects, alongside the fun, of course.
Right.
Organizations are supporting e-biking, and even some governments are incorporating e-bikes into their transportation planning. It's really encouraging.
Yeah, it shows a real shift in thinking, seeing e-bikes as a positive tool for health.
So to wrap things up, it really seems like e-bikes are a legitimate and adaptable form of exercise.
Definitely.
They offer a ton of benefits, both physically and mentally. And the key takeaway here is that they help people move more often.
Exactly. It's about increasing that overall activity level and making exercise more accessible.
So for all of you listening, think about how an e-bike could fit into your life. What new routes could you explore? Could it turn your commute into a workout you actually look forward to?
Right.
We encourage you to check out some local e-bike options, maybe take one for a test ride, see how it feels.
Yeah, give it a try.
And thanks for diving deep with us today. What new possibilities for activity and well-being might become accessible to you?
That's the question.